Welcome to WICE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced in partnership with the Rapidian, a hyper-local news service here at the Grand Rapids Community Media Center. Community Close-Up is all about bringing you diverse perspectives from community leaders and organizations throughout West Michigan. This is WICE Station Manager Phil Tower in studio with the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum. And specifically, we are pleased to welcome back Brooke Clement, Director of the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum, and Dr. Mirelle Lukey. Dr. Mirelle Lukey is Supervisory Curator at the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum. Now, Brooke's done this program with us before. She wanted to bring some reinforcement with her for this conversation. We got a lot to talk about. Mirelle, it's great to have you in the studio with us.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
You have a busy year. We're going to talk about a really interesting exhibit that is all about the Anglo-American Special Relationship between the Ford administration and the Brits and the monarchy, which is, it's easy to forget that happened, and that was kind of a big deal in 1976. There's a whole exhibit to celebrate that, and we are in the year of America's, is it the sesquicentennial?
Semiquincentennial. We say in unison.
Wait a minute. Is that a word, you guys?
It is.
Semiquincentennial.
And just be thankful that you'll never have to say it after this year.
That is an awesome, Brooke, that's an awesome Scrabble word, by the way.
There you go.
And
I don't think there are that many tiles on a
So that
Scrabble
means
game.
250 years. A250 is the celebration, and the Gerald R. Ford Museum and Library will be involved in that. You've got a talk coming up. We might as well just jump right into it. Mm-hmm. A journalist who covered the White House many years ago. And did I read he's still working as a journalist?
He is still working. But yes, he was a pool reporter during the Ford administration. So he traveled with the president everywhere he went. And so he has personal experiences from July 4th, 1976, and his time with President Ford that day.
That's Thomas DeFrank, that Brooke Clement, Director of the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum, is speaking of. Mm-hmm. He will be speaking just a few days from now, March 25th, at the museum here in Grand Rapids.
At the museum here at Grand Rapids. Free program for anyone who'd like to come check it out at 6:30 in the evening.
Terrific. Great opportunity as well. And the Semiquincentennial events will be happening actually throughout the year.
Yes.
Mirelle, you and I were talking earlier. You've got some kind of unique things that you'll be featuring throughout the year. Tell us how you will be celebrating A250 at the Ford Presidential Museum.
Well, we've got all sorts of different things happening. So in addition to programs, we're doing a lot of different exhibits, especially to highlight the very fun, unique, and kooky gifts that President Ford received during the Bicentennial. So he was given gifts from head of states, foreign leaders, the American public, and he accepted these gifts on behalf of the American people. And about 3,000 of them are now in our museum collections. And so we're displaying them in a number of different ways at the museum in rotating exhibits in our permanent gallery space and a couple of temporary exhibits that will be opening throughout the year.
If you think about it, President Ford was only in office a few years, but 3,000 gifts during his term as
well. Some of them are directly gifts, and then some of them are things that came to us later. So right. But still quite a lot of
not even the full collection, though.
Bicentennial ephemera.
Yeah, I figured people were in the spirit. In fact, I saw a wonderful video you did on the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum Facebook page where you're showing off I would say this classified as kooky. It looked like a ceramic Conestoga wagon. What was that thing you were showing off?
Yeah, so it was a flower pot in the shape of a Conestoga wagon because during the Bicentennial, there was something called the Bicentennial Wagon Train Pilgrimage, where people were celebrating the anniversary of the wagon trains west. And so this is really going to the theme that people were celebrating the Bicentennial and beyond. But anyway, they were traveling in wagons across the country story from west to east in reverse, and they ended up in Pennsylvania. And on the 4th of July, Ford gave a talk and welcomed the trains, and this was part of the gift there.
You know, that is a pretty interesting piece of history, and I hope you're going to do more of these cool videos on your Facebook page.
Yes,
right?
we will have a video posting every month this year, so people should definitely keep an eye out for them. This is one of my favorite things, is pulling out these wacky items in our collection. I mean, it's everything ranging from Bicentennial air and Bicentennial dirt that was preserved.
Wait a minute, Mirelle. Bicentennial air in a can, right?
In cans, in jars, we have different kinds, certified as being bottled in 1976.
There probably would have been a little more exhaust from cars at that time, I would think. And yeah, I don't recall how 1976 smelled, but we'll just leave it at that. So are you going to feature any pop-up exhibits related to 1976, 50 years later, and the Semiquincentennial?
Yeah, so we'll be having a pop-up exhibit at the museum about American Eagles. The title is American Eagles. So as you can imagine, being president of the United States, Ford received a lot of gifts that year that were specifically Eagle-themed. So we're pulling a number of exciting things from the collection to highlight and talk about the history of the bald eagle and how it became America's bird. So people will be able to see that June 27th through August 30th. At the museum.
It's hard to believe it's 50 years. Brooke, just from a general sense, can you talk about how that is important for the museum and just what else you'll be doing at the museum this time of year?
Well, what a great year for us to be able to highlight President Ford's role in the bicentennial and how he celebrated and how the country celebrated that birthday. So yeah, this is an important time for us to be able to commemorate not only the Semiquincentennial, but look back at the bicentennial and also tie that to how we move forward. And
you can check out fordlibrarymuseum.gov to stay in touch with what's going on there. Mm-hmm. If you're not following the Ford Presidential Museum on Facebook or Instagram, you should be following them in there because they're doing some cool things there, as you just heard us say. I mean, where can you see a 50-year-old flower pot shaped like a Conestoga wagon? You can't find that on Etsy or Pinterest or any other place. And man, I just someday I want to go behind the scenes and dig up some of these artifacts from many years ago. That's the best part of my job. It sounds like there's some really wonderful stuff there. We also want to talk about, and this is really a big deal and probably one of the biggest exhibits for the year, unquestionably tied in with the 250th birthday of America, Waltzing with the Queen, President Ford, and the Anglo-American Special Relationship at the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum. This will open on May 23rd, so gearing up for that, a couple months away, but it will run through the end of October. First of all, let's go back in history. President Ford, Queen Elizabeth, this was kind of a big deal when she visited the United States. Yes. So in 1976, the Brits decided that Queen Elizabeth should come and visit the United States as part of the bicentennial celebrations. So she traveled to a couple of different places around the country, but the visit culminated with a state dinner in her honor at the White House, hosted by the Fords. And so this exhibit looks at the history of Anglo-American relations from the American Revolution. So this moment of enmity moving towards friendship and this special relationship. And the exhibit culminates with this state dinner and President Ford and Queen Elizabeth waltzing on the dance floor. Is there any video footage of that anywhere? Do we know? There is video footage of it, and we will be playing it in the exhibit. And that's excitingly, wonderful. So in addition to playing this video footage, so people will be able to see them dancing, we're also really excited that we'll be having a number of cool artifacts coming to help tell this story. And kind of the biggest thing that we're getting is from the Royal Collection Trust in the UK, the gown that Queen Elizabeth wore to that dinner, this really beautiful yellow gown. And so we'll be displaying that alongside with the gown that Betty wore that night as well. You know, and it would be fascinating just not only to look at that footage from 50 years ago of a state dinner at the White House, but just to think about the times then. And as I recall, President Ford and First Lady Betty Ford they had kids in the White House who were, in high school and college around that time?
Susan was in high school, and the others had all graduated from high school. Some of them were in college still, and others had decided to forego college. But Jack Ford and Susan Ford were both there for the state dinner.
Yeah.
And we'll be displaying some gifts that Queen Elizabeth gave to the Force family when she and Philip visited. So she gifted Jerry Ford a soup tureen, which is actually in our permanent display. It's made out of porcelain, but she gave Betty Ford a gold and diamond encrusted brooch. She gave Susan a silver compact with the ER Elizabeth Regina emblazoned on it, and she gave Jack Ford some cufflinks. So we'll be displaying those objects as well.
When we think Brooke and Mirelle, we're speaking with Brooke Clement, director of the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum, and also with the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum, Mirelle Lukey is the supervisory curator. When we think about the bicentennial and President Ford, there was a lot going on in 1976. Mm-hmm. There was the issue of gas prices and inflation and an oil embargo, give or take a couple of years. But it was still kind of a period of unrest, not much different from 2026. Do we know how the whole bicentennial kind of fit, overlaid on top of everything else going on, and how the administration felt about it or dealt with it? I'm always curious about that.
I think that they were just proud to be able to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the birth of this nation. And it's interesting because, yes, there was all this unrest, but by and large, most people came out and wanted to celebrate that birthday. So we're hopeful that people will do the same this year.
It's really important to think about that, and it is a wonderful time in history. And whether they were ready or not, it was going to happen, mm-hmm. just like A250 is already upon us here in fairly early. We're still in March, so fairly early 2026. You can learn more about everything we're speaking about at fordlibrarymuseum.gov, fordlibrarymuseum.gov. Waltzing with the Queen again, a big exhibit. We're really excited about this. It'll open May 23rd, and the museum is open every day of the week except most major holidays, right, Brooke?
Correct. Just 3 holidays, actually: Christmas, New Year's, and Thanksgiving.
Right. Okay.
So every other day we are open.
So you're open on Memorial Day.
Yep.
You're open on
Labor Day,
Independence Day, Labor Day.
Yep.
Terrific. And don't forget that anytime you would like to visit the museum, it is highly recommended, highly worth it. Let's talk about something which is unique. If you've got people looking for internship opportunities, why not explore an internship with the Ford Presidential Museum and Library? Mirelle Lukey, who is supervisor curator of the Ford Presidential Library and Museum, tell us a little bit about these internship opportunities.
Yeah, so we offer internships every semester, and so our next one will be for the summer 2026 semester. Applications are due April 1st, but if people want to learn a little bit more about what museum work is like, particularly working in collections, so this ranges from photographing objects, doing data entry, and helping with museum exhibits, they can apply for this internship if they're college age or graduate students. And if people want to learn more, visit our website, fordlibrarymuseum.gov, and type internship in the search bar, and that should take you to the page with the application information.
And this is a paid internship.
Yes, very important.
Okay. Don't want to miss that important element. Again, fordlibrarymuseum.gov, and you've just got a limited amount of time to apply for that internship opportunity with the Ford Presidential Library and Museum. We've got about a minute left. Is there anything, Brooke Clement or Mirelle Lukey, I didn't ask you about you wanted to make sure our WIC listeners knew about?
Definitely want you to know about our July 4th coming up. We are going to be going all out celebrating it. It will be open to the public for free that day. The museum will be open to the public for free. We're going to have some crafts for the kiddos. We're going to have reenactors such as Benjamin Franklin, Frederick Douglass, maybe a John Adams there. We're going to have food trucks. So we're really going big here for this celebration, and we hope that everyone thinks about coming out and joining us.
So that's Independence Day, and the museum will be open for free then. I know we're not trying to wish summer upon us that fast, but you might want to put that on your calendar. It sounds like a lot of fun and definitely worth a visit. And encourage all of our listeners, if you haven't been to the museum lately, this is a great year to take in the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Museum. And of course, if you're in Ann Arbor, the library, the library visiting is still an opportunity as well too.
Absolutely, there's actually exhibits out there as well. So, and that is free to the public at any day or time. And so we're actually really excited. In April, we're going to be starting our Northwest Ordnance exhibit as well. That will be coming from the National Archives in Washington, D.C. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I would love to talk about the Northwest Ordinance. So it is the Northwest Ordinance of 1787. It was written at the same time as the Constitution, so people will be able to, go to D.C. to see the Charters of Freedom, but we'll have this document here that was written alongside the Constitution and helped lay out a lot of the ideals that end up in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, like statehood, individual rights, and things like that, and is directly related to Michigan because the Northwest Ordinance helped spell out how territories like Michigan would then become states. So we're really excited to host that at the library in April, and then it will be here at the museum from June 3rd to November 1st, and it will be free for people to come see the document and an exhibit about it.
Sounds like a great road trip for some West Michigan high school classes to visit. I remember that well and learning about it, and I'm so glad you could mention that. That is Dr. Mirelle Lukey, Supervisor Curator with the Gerald R. Ford Presidential Library and Museum. Also with us on WIC's Community Close-Up, Brooke Clement, Director of the Ford Presidential Library and Museum. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We will, of course, have this available for you as a podcast as well. If you joined us late, you can get that on our website at WYCE.org. You've been listening to WYCE's Community Close-Up, our weekly public affairs program produced with the Rapidian. I'm WYCE Station Manager Phil Tower. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.